this will be my last part of this channeling series, and I'm happy I have got some good feedback on this, and I want to start with a little bit background how this started. So I got inspiration in the early spring to talk about Jesus and channeling Jesus through the 2000 years since he came and he resurrected, and he brought Saul to St. Paul, to become one of the main speakers for him in the New Testament, all the letters. And I felt that was important. I started with that. So I started with slides, as I usually do. But the slides grew and grew and grew. And of course, I included True Father, and I felt like I should also have this sort of continuing channeling with the second coming. So finally, I was up to 150 slides, and of course, that's impossible to make a sermon. You would fall asleep halfway through. So I had to divide it. So that was then I really had to try to rethink. It's not only about Jesus. And okay, one part can be on Jesus. That's the first picture you see here, and then the second part will be True Father and all the revelations, all the dreams, all the spiritual things that happen around him and his mission. And then you see the third picture, that is unification movement, the sign there at the bottom, and this foundation day for Jungle Book on top. So that is more like the movement, the most important things for our movement. That is what I will try to cover today. And yeah, so let's go on. Now we start. Let's see how I can change the picture here. Yeah, we're still in the year of the Black Tiger. So I will repeat some of the slides, of course, because that is the meaning of this, and it was the main part of the other two. First part about Jesus, second part to Father, and now we're sort of summing things up. And it will be a shorter than normal sermon for a very good reason, because as you heard, Hans Karlsson, he died last Tuesday. He was a national leader in Sweden for a long time, and they will have a memory service for him at 12 Finnish time. I think you got a mail about that. So if you want, please join that. Yeah. So why channeling? Yeah. So my point was that it will be a short summer, so we can join that. That was my point. Okay. Why channeling? This we talked about before. So Jesus was interrupted. We know he did. He came as the new Adam. He was going to establish kingdom of heaven on earth, and he was not completely successful. This is a sensitive issue to say to Christians, but anyway, we know that for 2000 years still evil has remained. Partly there's a door open to Jesus and the good spiritual support, and paradise is open for us through Christianity. But still on this earth, there's so much evil, so much war, suffering, and poverty. So we cannot see really like he went all the way to fulfill the messianic hopes. So that's why he needed someone to continue his mission, or to be his spokesperson on earth. And that became that Saul, who later became St. Paul. And in True Father's case, it was a little bit different. He also had a lot of difficulty to convince Koreans in the beginning, in the 40s. 45, he started his mission. And Christians were, of course, upset. A Korean Messiah. It's not in the Bible, Korean Messiah. What are you talking about? So it was very difficult. But then the Spirit world intervened there, because the many of those who joined in the early days, they had lots of persecution from Christians and others who did not feel the Spirit world. But then at the same time, their spiritual senses were open, and they got lots of dreams, revelations that really confirmed that this is really the second coming of Christ. Yeah. In 1965, someone asked True Father a question, are you the Messiah? And he answered, the purpose of the coming of the Lord is that someday all shall be like him, like Christ. So like Christ goes first, he has the power to open all the spiritual doors. And then by believing, we are believing in him, and through repentance, of course. He talked about Christ here. We have to understand this was 1965, 5 years after the holy blessing of true parents. So all the focus was on divine principle and the second coming. So it was focused mostly on True Father that time. So this was a direct answer to the question. Yeah. Okay. So again, I will not go through this. I just remind you, there are many people who have been helping Jesus throughout 2,000 years to spread his message, to interpret it, and to make sermons. And same goes for True Father. So these are what I feel is some of the most important people supporting True Father and testifying from spirit world and spiritual inspiration about True Father's mission. So I will only mention maybe the Korean prophecies. They are really profound. They are very special. And Faith Jones, who channeled Jesus, and Hung Jin-im died in 1984. 1986, she started her channeling mission. So she went around Europe and gave testimonies about not only about Hung Jin-im, Jesus, but also True Father's daughter, if I remember correctly, who died very early. So also children who were already in spirit world. And I remember we had a session in, I think it was Gullmarsplan that time, yeah. Very special experience. And then the last picture here, remarkable messages from the spiritual realm, they are really amazing. Jesus directly saying, Sun Myung Moon, true parents, they are those who are fulfilling my mission. I mean, you know, more direct you cannot proclaim it. So that's a really good standing out in this realm of prophecies and spiritual messages. This was the beginning of 1935. Sure to go through there on Mount Moda in Jeonju, early Easter morning ago. Jesus came to True Father and he was praying much I'm sure he was there every morning praying, and one day Jesus came with a message. Mr. Young Myung Moon, I'm just quoting now, True Father's name that time was Young Myung Moon. Let us go and receive the blessing. And this is one of the most amazing prophecies that I have found. Because True Father, he went to North Korea, we know that, 1946. He tried to sort of re-establish the foundation. It was not successful in Seoul, so he went up to Pyongyang, and that was the Jerusalem of the East, it's called. It was one of the strongest Christian strongholds in Korea at that time. So he was guided to lay the foundation there, restart the foundation there. And then there was some people there that began receiving revelations about him. Those that were believers found him through the guidance of those in the spirit world, yeah, like we said. And most amazing, let's see, next slide, thank you. Many of those who came had been long prepared for the coming of True Father, and among them were people who had been prepared to receive True Father from even before he was born. Even before he was born. How on earth is that possible? The spirit world transcends time and space, and the connections of the world of the heart are linked in mysterious and profound ways. It must have been this is just my thoughts, it must have been so that God has already chosen the lineage, where True Father would come, and God knew how he would look like his parents, of course. So that's the only logical in this. And you can find the details in Shambhu book 3. Yeah. Amazing. Next slide. Okay, it's a little bit slow here. Okay, there you are. Anthony Brooke, 1964. So True Parents Blessing 1960, and 1964 Anthony Brooke was a spiritual author, and he went to Korea to meet the members. He had heard about the movement and he was inspired. And he came to this conclusion. He wrote a book towards human unity. You can find on probably on Amazon, and or I think it's online also. And part of it is like this. It seems to me, Anthony Brooke, that because Sun Myung Moon is incarnated upon the earth at this time and has a particular link with the Christ ray, he makes an indispensable bridge for many people who are being given exceptional and life-changing experiences by taking his powerful name into their meditations. And then also Ford, I'm repeating myself, I know, I apologize if someone gets upset about that, but this is important for me and I hope for others. So Arthur Ford, some of those who have been against our movement, they say, oh, Sun Myung Moon is a self-proclaimed Messiah, just like with Jesus, you know. They also accused him. You are self-proclaimed. You cannot proclaim yourself. You need at least 3 witnesses. I think it's like that in Jewish law still today. It's like that. 3 witnesses, then it's valid in court, you know, like in as a proof of truth. So same way, like they accused Jesus that you are just proclaiming yourself. But no, true Father is not self-proclaimed. Spirit world are those who proclaimed not only true Father but true parents. So through all the spiritual experiences for now, how long time is it? Yeah, basically 45 down to 2020, the 70, 80 years. The spirit world has continuously supported true parents' mission and true Father and true parents' mission. So that's the key thing. That's why we have to be firm, you know, when we proclaim and when we say that we really believe this is second coming of Christ. Why? Because spiritual support is 100%. So here was then a sitting, a spiritual sitting, 1964. The Jesus of Galilee will not return. It is not necessary. That made a lot of impression on me when I joined 79. Because I told my spiritual mother, okay, Unification Church is fine. You're very nice, very good people. I really like you. I just because I like you, maybe I will join you. You know, but I had some doubts about second coming. So I said, like, the principle sort of points to Sun Myung Moon as the second coming of Christ. But how can I believe? You know, if I go to Mormons, you know, they will give me the Mormons book and say, oh, skip the principle because Mormons book, that's the truth. You know, go to Jehovah's Witnesses, they have also their own Bible. You know, this is the truth. And whoever you go to, they sort of say this is the real truth. Yeah. So you also say the same divine principle is the real truth. Yeah. I need something more. And my spiritual mother was very clever and she knew about this after 4th session. I said, find this book and you will find out. So I bought it. Okay. This is interesting testimony also. I'll just read the end here. There was a woman, Lydia, who was blind, and in her hand put a bell from father's wedding cake in 1960, and she was a medium, so she could feel something. She looked most perplexed as she began to receive heavenly messages. At first, she could not believe the messages as they were so incredibly unusual. Then she said, yes, God has a basis on earth through this man, divine marriage. No one can stop him. Very interesting. I don't know. Let's see, which year was this? What did I say? It was after the blessing. Anyway, it was soon after the blessing, 1960. So very early. No foundation or very little foundation on the worldwide scale. And still there's no one can stop him. Yes, we have talked about also in Rome, this message from medium. It's not important whether this person who revealed it will still be alive at that time. And that's of course true Father. I tell you, he shall work more freely and will accomplish more when he is in the spirit world than while he is on earth. And I think that's exactly what true Father also said all the time. I will work 10 times harder when I go to spirit world. And we know how hard he worked on earth. So it's a good promise. Italian beginning, I will not read it through, but you know, this was this picture at the bottom there, the 4-position foundation they could see on the sky above Rome. So amazing spiritual happenings in the early times in the 60s. This is 60s in Rome. Bowie Park, he wrote 2 books. You see him up there. Once I heard the unification principle and understood clearly that this was the word of God proclaimed by the Lord of Second Advent, what was I supposed to do? It was my primary responsibility, my special right, and my glory to follow the Lord who had come. What greater blessing can anyone hope to receive in his life? Even a diamond as big as the earth itself could not measure up the value of this blessing. Okay. So he goes on and compares with the New Testament and Bible. But anyway, the summary was, I resolved to dedicate my life to the holy task of attending the Lord. In no way am I entitled to be a disciple of the Lord. And I remember at our blessing 1982 in Korea, we rehearsed, I think it was the day before the blessing with two parents, and we rehearsed, and Bowie Park was the master of ceremonies. So He's a key man in our movement, definitely. And he wrote 2 books, Messiah 1 and 2, you can find online. Amazing testimonies about how he, sorry, how he survived the Korean War. Also, he was an officer in that war, and his group was under attack from North Koreans and Chinese. And I think he was the only survivor, something like that. Very few anyway survived that. And he always felt that this was God's intervention. God had a plan for his life, like important mission. Please read if you like. Okay, here are some other key figures. And the reason I'm sort of picking up people here is because this is like a legacy for our movement and for the future. That several of them are dead now, and you know, they are, what their contribution, we should honor that. So that should be preserved. And that's why I sort of picked out. I'm sure there are other people also who done incredible things, but that's for others than to share. This is what comes to my mind. Yang Won Kim, the first missionary to USA in 1959. David Kim came also to USA a couple of years later. And sorry, he was actually the very first, already in the early 50s or mid 50s, he went to England on a scholarship and he tried to witness there. And Sang-ik Cho, beside True Father, that was the first missionary to Japan. Paul Werner, Peter Koch, they came from joining California and came to Europe. And they were called St. Paul and St. Peter, just because they were key figures. The first ones in Germany and Austria to start. And then they choose sisters for missionaries to the Nordic countries. And Elephant Camping, you know, she came with the Finnish sister Kirsti to Helsinki. And we are celebrating this year, the 50th year of movement coming to Finland. So this is also a nice sermon in that sense. You honor them. And here's some books. I will not say so much because I want this to be a short sermon, but you can watch later when Samuel sends out the links. You can watch and find them on Amazon. You can read them, you know, on Amazon. You can read a couple of pages, like, you know, maybe 5-10 pages. So you can see if it's interesting. This is what came through my life in Unification Movement as important books. There are many more, many more, of course. Yeah. And we talked about channeling and the fallen nature. And through Father, he says you have to be, what should I put it like this way, 90 degrees. So like you receive absolutely full 100%, and then you can sort of spread it and you can reach out to other people horizontally on earth. So it's like spirit world, physical world, yeah, but they should be connected, not like halfway. Then you only get half the message right. And the problem is then fallen nature, as I understand it. It's my interpretation that fallen nature kicks in. Yeah, it sort of blurs our spiritual 5 senses, so we don't get the full message. Like when True Father is speaking, it's like 100% full spiritual message. So like this then. But we are blessed, or hopefully blessed, or you're second young, it's same thing. So we are on the way to getting towards this 90 degrees. And True Parents blessing us is like a violin, yeah, tuning, you know, you hit one string and other strings also, they sort of join that, you know, like through influence. So a perfectly tuned violin is wonderful to listen to, and not tuned is terrible to listen to. I hope I'm not a bad spiritual violin. Anyway, I do my best. I think that's what I can do. Yeah. I wanted to say something more here. What was it? I forgot it. Sorry. I think it was this picture. I can really say like marriage is if you listen, Marit, I can say marriage is the best way of getting rid of your fallen nature. Nobody knows you as well as your spouse. There's no hiding there. Yeah. So get married. You who are not married, get married. You can improve your fallen natures. This painting of Benny Anderson from Sweden. Philip Burley we talked about. I think I will go through this a little bit faster than planned. He talks about how he met. I should say he was a member, because he doesn't talk so much about Unification Movement anymore. But anyway, when he joined, he talked about this revelation with Jesus and True Father and Sun Myung Moon. So surely at some point in his life, he met the movement and he accepted the movement at that point. He's a very amazing brother. I still call him like a brother, unification brother. He wrote many books, especially Saint-Germain. He was French, I think he was a nobleman. Anyway, he was very spiritual, and he has great knowledge. So he has spoken many things in this book, what you see there. And also interesting messages from Jesus and Mother Mary, Saint Paul. You see those people. Yeah. Okay, so this we have seen, two bodies in one. So this is interesting. This is not just his dying here. This is more like nighttime. He goes to sleep, and then his spirit body leaves his body and goes to spirit world. And of course, this string is connected. You know, the silver, so called the silver cord. So he's not dead, but he's separating his spiritual and physical bodies. And this is what Burley wrote in one of his books, or actually Saint Germain gave this message through Burley, Philip Burley. Beyond mediumship, beyond healing, beyond all of this is the opportunity to leave your physical body at night, to explore the spirit world and gain the knowledge of existence and come back with that knowledge consciously. That is like sort of education. You know? That is an art form. It is something through mastering self you can achieve in this lifetime. Okay. True Father spoke, of course, much about spirit world. Man stands in position between God and creation. Therefore, we must know that man is a mediator who can be a connecting point between the spiritual world and the physical world. So that is how it should have been without the fall of man. So the goal, the purpose, is to become a divine reflection of Christ through parents. So they will always be ahead of us, always, also in spiritual, they will be ahead of us. But we are connecting, you know, plug in, you remember that picture with the plugging in, the socket and the light goes on, but you need this current, yeah? So we get the current from God, Jesus, through Father, and through Mother, of course, also on earth. So here's a comment from German National Messiah in UK, Bruno Klotz. True Father was sent as the Messiah. Together with True Mother, they became the true parents of mankind. The Messiah is not just a man, but a woman as well. The Messiahs, I put Esther, in the real meaning is true parents, because full salvation can only come from true parents, not from a man alone. That is because the fall involved a man and woman. It's very logical. It's really great expressing of the reason for true parents. True parents did not just come to establish a church or an institution. They came to establish a true love movement through which God can pull all mankind back to him. This true love movement is now called Heavenly Parents Holy Community, which in the end everyone is supposed to join. So this is interesting because that means that we have to witness a lot. We're still quite small group and we have to catch up. You know, the catch-up effect, you know, like this, and then suddenly everything comes. So maybe it's similar here, like suddenly many people come to us. Yeah? What is really this unification movement you talk about? This picture we had before also, it's like we're having three messiahs: true Mother, true Father, and Jesus, all in one unity. Now we're getting to the last pages here. I see time is good also. So we become millions of messiahs, husband and wives, all of mankind for eternity. Millions of Christ-like true parents. You see true parents with small t, so I reserve the big T for Sangyamun Hakyahan. The purpose of the coming Lord is that someday all shall be like him, like Christ. Yeah, it all comes together to that. So here are like a suggestion from me. You decide as you like. But Michael Sumiko Balcom, I think sometime, maybe not all the time, but true Father and God are channeling, inspiring them. I'm sure they're thinking themselves also. So it's like a mixture, you know? It's not like they are like only speaking, I'm speaking the word of God, or I'm speaking the true Father's message. So I think it's really, you know, like our own brain is involved in this. Surely it's involved. So it's a sort of mixture there. But I think as popular as they are, I'm sure True Father is behind there. And True Mother is direct in contact with Mike Balcom. I know that. He said several times. So Wednesday prayer meeting, that is what we are following. And the new inspiration through morning devotion is very popular in the USA. And I think some of us here also listen to that sometime. So same way, true Father and God channeling through him. I put a question mark there because it's up to each and every one to decide how they think about this. And true Mother, I believe God and true Father is surely behind her and inspiring and helping her all the way possible. And here is a sort of summary again, those important people there. And Saint Germain, in one of those early books, says, greatest is love, and then comes healing power, helping others to heal sicknesses, and then channeling. So channeling is interesting and inspiring, but it's not the highest. This is very much in line with the Bible. The Bible talks about, if I don't have love, then it's like nothing. So even believing in Jesus and, doing good, but most important is to love God. I'll come to this again. Love God and love human beings. Love your neighbors as yourself. So I think this is sort of wrapping up. This is the last page of the channeling sharing. And then I will show something at the very, very end here. My next sermon will be about this theory of heavenly unified Korea. And I did that last Sunday in Copenhagen. I did it from Finland. Yes, it must have been. So that was a challenging sharing, but I want to do it also with you here. So the background is the national leaders who went to Korea in April. They brought back these 3 new books. And one of those books was on this memory stick. You see the memory stick on the top there? And Lars Nergård in Copenhagen, he put it online. So he shared on the PowerPoints, words, and videos. So anyone who want to really dig into this can do that through those videos. Videos are really good, but they are long, like 1 hour. I think 19 parts, and I think there's 17 videos, and each video is like 50 minutes. So it's really extensive lecturing. And here's the lecture. Let's see what it says. Jin Sung Bae. He is the vice president of, or he was the vice president of Sungmun University, and now at some other organization that is promoting this heavily unified Korea. So you see to the left there, there's like a summary. There are 3 parts. So it's Juche, that is the North Korean ideology and the democracy in the South, and they are against each other. And True Father proclaimed there have to be like a middle way, and that is the head wing and Godism that we heard about. So only Chim Yong, original heart, and vertical horizontal Hyo Jong, filial piety will unite Korea. That is sort of summary of all this in the next sermon. So it's like in the Bible, it talks about Jerusalem, Jerusalem, a holy city. So it talks about in Revelation, a new Jerusalem coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. So it's like a heavenly spiritual Jerusalem coming down on the earth, on the physical Jerusalem, and making it a holy city. So the same way, the same way I'm thinking like a spiritual Korea, spiritual united Korea, through this Godism head wing, will come on top of this divided. You see at the bottom here. Okay, finished in good time. Thank you for listening. Please join me in prayer. Thank you, Harry Parent. Thank you that we can share in this wonderful way. And I want to thank the team here who is behind the scene and doing all this work, preparing work. And please bless them for their work. And also we pray that we can take our mission, responsibility seriously, because all these testimonies that we've gone through now shows clearly that Spirit Well wants to support and help us to establish a greater foundation here on earth. So please continue guiding us, continue uniting us in true love. Love is the greatest. So let love flow in unification movement, Finland, Nordic countries, and all over the world, and strengthen our bonds. And I pray for Hans Carlson now in the spirit world. I pray his ascension will go smoothly and he can work from that side and really be a channel for us here in Nordic countries, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Finland, Iceland. And we need unity to go forward. So please unite us and bless us as much as possible. I pray these things now, and I pray for this Sunday. Let it be a great Sunday, a great week ahead, and be with us in our precious names as blessed central families. Adieu and amen. Thank you.